and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you decided to click on this video. I am starting another episode of my 5-star reread challenge that I have been doing this year, where I reread a book that I previously gave a 5-star review to. And additionally, these are all books that I have read over a year ago and that I have never done a reread of. So for the month of June, I decided to pick Falling by TJ Newman. This is a book I read back in 2021, so it has been quite a while, and yeah, I loved this at the time, and so we will see if I still do. Also, the cover, just beautiful, love it. So I haven't really gotten started on anything yet. I do have book club later today, so after I get done with that, I'm going to come home and get settled and start reading this. My husband is out of town for the day, so I will have the place to myself and lots of quiet, and I will get started with it. So as usual, let's go ahead and see what I said about this the first time that I read it. So I didn't actually review this on Goodreads, but just on Instagram, so let's read my Instagram post. What was a recent 5-star read for you? I've finished other 5-star books since I read Falling by TJ author, but I just can't stop thinking about it. From its engaging plot to characters you are 100% rooting for, this book had it all. Falling has been all over, but my brief summary is this. Bill Hoffman is an experienced captain working a flight from LA to NYC. What he doesn't know is that his family on the ground has been kidnapped and will only be allowed to live if he crashes the plane. This book has a perfect setup, and the simplicity of the plot drew me in from the first page. Since Newman is a former flight attendant, she brought a real first-hand viewpoint to the story that I think is missing from a lot of books about commercial aviation. And as a flight attendant myself, I so appreciate that she showed how hard we work and what we are trained for. It's far more than just serving you pretzels and Diet Coke. Winky face. My full review is up on my blog that no longer exists, so yeah, where I go much more in depth about how I felt about it so yeah. That's the review, because I don't have a blog anymore, and I tried to go access it, and yeah, it's like nowhere on the internet. So unfortunately, that's gone forever. But you can see that this book was really special to me, specifically as a flight attendant, and like just the way that it showed how hard our job is when it's hard, if that makes sense. On the day-to-day, not that difficult, really, but when we need to be snapped into action for an emergency that can range from like something wrong with the plane to a passenger medical to a security issue, whatever, yeah, then it gets hard, and it's something we really are, well trained for. So I am definitely looking forward to rereading this. TJ Newman has written another book that was called Drowning, and she has another one coming out this summer, I think, called Worst Case Scenario or something like, I think that's it. I don't know. I'll put it on the screen so that you know if I got it right. But I think these are going to be really good, and I'm excited to share my perspective with you all about how I view this as a flight attendant, because my last time I read this, I was not on YouTube, not for a long shot. And I do remember the first time I read this, I had just read another book called Hostage that was kind of a similar scenario. It was about like a flight attendant who gets on a plane and goes to work, and then there is like a hijacking situation or attempted hijacking of the plane, and like I did not find that one to be quite as good, because I found so many things that were just like not correct. And that book was set in England, so I kind of chalked it up. I'm like, okay, maybe there's differences in US airlines and British airlines as far as like how things are working and like, just general like protocol, but I don't think so. I feel like they just got a lot wrong. So yeah, excited to get back into this, and I will report back when I've read a little bit. Hello, sorry for this terrible lighting and if the camera's moving, because I'm just holding the tripod, but I am in Dallas at the moment, and I was supposed to go to Dallas and then go to Louisville and then come back to Dallas and overnight, but it kept getting delayed, so my crew was illegal to work that flight because we can only be on duty for a certain amount of time, in this case 15 hours, And so they took us off of that part. So now we're just staying in Dallas, and tomorrow we'll pick up our trip as normal. But that means I've had a lot of time to read. And I've been working on a few different books just because I have other like book clubs and stuff to get through. But I realized I had the Falling audiobook. I think I did read it on audio the first time I read it, now that I'm like thinking about it, but I kind of forgot about it. So I have been able to get through some of that without my physical copy with me. And it's really good. There is like a couple of things that I've like noticed, and I'm obviously so nitpicky about this kind of stuff because this is the industry I work in. But there's like one kind of major thing, and I'm wondering if it's going to end up being a bit of a plot hole that like I just didn't acknowledge before. I don't know. But like anytime one of the pilots has to leave the flight deck, there has to be another person going in. There can never be one person in the flight deck by themselves. And this is because of if they were to pass out, if there was to be some kind of emergency. I don't want to reveal any security information that is, to the general public. But, yes, you do always need to have two people in there. And I don't think that is like a company specific thing. I'm pretty sure that's like FAA, but what do I know? So that's kind of weird. And I feel like there's like a bunch of stuff that maybe couldn't happen if there was another person in there, but we'll see, because like I said, it's been a long time since I've read this and I might be remembering incorrectly, but that was a little bit strange, I guess. Let's see. So the point I'm at now is the Captain Bill Hoffman has taken off. He's working this flight from LA to New York. And when he was leaving his house to get ready to leave his house, there was a guy coming over to fix the internet. And it turns out that guy was actually holding his wife and kids hostage after he left. And so once he is in the air, I think he gets a text. Oh, yeah, he gets a picture sent to him of his son and wife, like gagged and tied up to a chair. And his little baby daughter, I don't think she was also, but like she's there too. And it basically says like, you must crash this plane or they're going to die. And like he's at the point of, I think, denial where he's just like, I'm not crashing this plane and you're not going to kill them. And the guy's like, okay. So he also has, been able to speak with Joe, who is the lead flight attendant on this trip. He went out to go to the bathroom and they like were able to talk about it quietly. And even though that was like very, very heavily focused on that, like we don't need to be telling anybody, don't tell anyone, or, they'll die faster. Basically, the deal's off. And Joe has a nephew that is in the FBI. And so he is going to get stuff rolling to try to save them. Meanwhile, Bill did find out how he came to be working this flight and how the hostage taker and the terrorists know who was working this flight. And that is a shock. I don't think I remembered that part because it is quite a tricky betrayal of trust there. So I'm really enjoying it for the second time. I feel like I don't really remember like what goes on in between. It's like I remember the big events, but not really the in-between stuff, which I guess makes sense. But I'm looking forward to getting further into it. I am enjoying this nice view of the Dallas airport, and it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm actually not. It's actually very pretty. My room has this nice view of the sunset. It's like so pretty. You can see it like over the runways and stuff. So it's getting me into the right vibes of the book. So that is how I'm spending my evening, and it is currently about 9 p.m. I don't have to be at work tomorrow till like 12:30, so probably gonna go ahead and shower and kind of get myself settled in for the night and then spent a lot of time reading. So I will check in later. Hello. So it is a couple days later after my last clip. It's been like a busy time. I had one day off in between my last trip and this trip, so it's the 28th though, so we are finishing falling today. I'm currently in Columbus, Ohio, and I don't have too long here, but I do need to eat. So I think I'm gonna go downstairs and get something to eat, maybe have a drink, and finish reading Falling because it's gotta happen. Tomorrow I have a pretty medium day, I guess. So I'm not going to be up too late tonight because I do have to wake up about 4:30 in the morning, and I don't, just not trying to be completely exhausted all day. So gonna go do my stuff, and I will report back when I finish because I'm gonna finish. Okay, so I did finish Falling. One last update for this one. I would absolutely say this is still a 5-star read, and maybe that's a really personal opinion because of the subject matter and the way that it's personally connected to myself. As far as, this is my career. I'm a flight attendant, and this truly is like a love letter to flight attendants, and just like showing how much we do and how much we're trained to do, even if we don't do it on the regular, and hopefully never. So it really is so powerful to me, like on a personal level, and hopefully it is to other people, and like letting them see that like serving drinks and snacks is like, we don't even really like learn what to do in training. Like we learn that on the job, because in training we're very busy learning how to like save people's lives and security procedures, and like how to use an AED, and like what all the FAA regulations are, and just like, stuff like that. So it's yeah, I mean, it's just really nice to see that being like so clear, and how, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times people just don't really respect flight attendants, and you know, it's like wild to me the number of times that like the pilots will come out of the cockpit for like deplaning, and they'll be like, saying goodbye to the passengers, and like they'll just completely like look through me or other flight attendants, and they'll say thanks to the pilots, and like they hadn't, previously interacted with the pilots in any way. And so it's just like a little disheartening. And so yeah, I hope more people read this book and like can see how important we are as well. And I mean, obviously the pilots are flying the plane, but like the plane couldn't operate without us too. So, you know, but this book's really well written. The tension is insane, like insane. I honestly feel like it might be one of the most like tense books that I've ever read. I mean, it's really not a thriller. This is definitely like suspense, but man, it's just so good. And I don't know. I really, really enjoyed reading this for the second time. I also did read her most recent book. It's called Drowning, and it's also set on an airplane, but it's actually like this plane gets like crashes into the ocean and somehow manages to like stay like secured and like watertight. And so that was really a good one too, and I kind of want to reread that now as well. She does have another book coming out soon that is, I think, about a plane that like crashes into a like a nuclear power plant or something like that. I'm not sure, but like she really has a thing about like plane books, which hey, if you find what works for you, stick with it. But I am looking forward to reading that one as well. So this is the end of the vlog, and I know vlogs are not my specialty, but I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, I mean, today's the 28th, so I'm very glad that I was able to knock this out before the end of the month, and I'm not sure when it will get posted, but hopefully tomorrow or maybe on the 30th. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I would love to know if you've read this one, and if you have any desire to after hearing my review for the second time. So If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!